What's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining us on the Phillip Scott Audio Experience Podcast. This is your first time joining us. Make sure you follow us, like or subscribe, no matter what program and platform you listen to us on. So today we have another, professional in another section of America, which would be healthcare. Now, last time we interviewed the sister in the flight attendants, the airline industry, and she really dropped some jewels and some bombs that a lot of y'all did not know. So the guest we have today isn't a stranger to our platform. She came the first time, Nurse Angela. Those of you who know who she is, you already know what kind of podcast you're about to get with her. Many of you, liked her realness on the situation, liked her breakdown, what happened to the doctor that had COVID, and that video did very well, very, very well. So Nurse Angela, thank you for joining us on the show again.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
All right, Nurse Angela, we may have some newbies that showed up to the platform since the last time you were here. Can you tell, for the people that's new, just a little bit of, about yourself before we really get into that story?
All right. Yes, sure. So I've been in nursing and healthcare for 31 years. I am currently a nurse consultant. I've been a nurse consultant for the past 12 years. And I'm an advanced practice, what they call an advanced practice nurse, because I have advanced degrees. And I'm an advanced practice nurse in public health, which I have been in regulation. And currently I'm employed with the state of California until tomorrow. And I work as a nurse consultant in the capacity that with a medical consultant as well. And so and I was sent to the state of California by the governor. I was hired by the last governor that was here, not Newsom, but the previous governor, because CDCR had gotten themselves in a situation where they no matter where you are in a sector, they will manage. I promise you, they will manage to target Black people and then mess with their health, just mess them over. That is just what they do. And so I was sent in as a neutralizer because corrections and custody officers just can't get themselves together and get it right. Was filtering over into healthcare and impacting the healthcare of the Black prisoners. That's who I'm concerned with, because I specialize in Black healthcare. For 31 years, I've been in Black healthcare. I don't deal with the others, even though I've worked in other facilities, right? They were short-lived because I don't have the patience for it. So it was short-lived, and I go back to county hospitals because I want to deal with my people. And so that's what I currently do. And I'm here to tell you how the healthcare system gets down, how they get down when it comes to Black people. And their main mission on how they would love to just have a get out moment so they can occupy our bodies, because they realize the specialness of our melanin and the healing capacity of our melanin. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me. So we can get into it.
All right. So when you a Black person, we know the history of, the medical profession, and then I got to be careful what I say here, especially with that pandemic situation and YouTube, any little thing you say, they want to take your situation down. But due to the history of a lot of that, a lot of us say, nah, I'm good on a whole lot of things in the medical profession. So when people go to the hospital, for instance, right, and as a Black person, and they go in, what is some of the biases that you have seen when Black people go in versus, let's say, the Mzungu go into the hospital?
Okay. So, I do research too. So a lot of research I do in health disparities, because, I will say that I was a victim of health disparities, given all the information that I have and the experience that I have dealing with the healthcare system. I too fell victim to medical negligence and medical discrimination, which I am currently fighting. So when you go into the hospital as a Black person or into any kind of healthcare facility, they always have these preconceived notions that Black people don't. It's the biggest thing that gets us, because pain is an indicator that something is wrong. And so how these people have managed to get by with disabling us is that when we come in with a viable issue, and usually it's pain or dysfunction that is bringing us into a hospital situation, because For real, Black people will stay at home and die before they really want to come in contact with white people in the healthcare industry. And so when you come in and you come in with pain or dysfunction, they immediately minimize that. But if you are a white person, so I'm gonna give you just a live example of what happened to me and what I'm dealing with right at this moment. So as a nurse consultant, I was working at CDCR, and as a nurse consultant, doing audits of their healthcare facilities within their prison system, because like I said previously, I was sent there by the last governor because they got sued. And so I was at this facility doing my audit, and I went to go pick up, it's a huge work bag. It weighs about 50, we'll say 35 to 50 pounds, depending on exactly what they decided to stock in it. And it's nursing's responsibility to ensure that these bags are stocked. And what those bags do, they're emergency bags. And so they have oxygen in them, they have medications in them, Narcans, reversal agents, all these different things that you use if a patient should go down out in one of the prison yards. So nursing is responsible to upkeep those. So it is my job as the lead nurse is to audit those and make sure that they're in compliance. And so I went to go pick up this one bag, and we'll just first start out with saying that they were not within policy on how they stored the bag. And that's how I got injured. So the bag was attached to a dolly, and it was on the ground, and it had bungee cords around the back, which I didn't see. So when I went to go pick up the bag, I ripped my tendon off of my bone. Yeah, that instant. So that's how I ended up in the workers' comp department of California state government. And so they have contracts with different providers. And the provider that I went to, which was closest to headquarters, which is where I work out of, was Kaiser South Sacramento. And so I went in there, and I was just so unfortunate to be, presented with a Dr. Iskander. And for 7 months, Dr. Iskander did not do anything regarding this tendon tear that I had. And he let me sit on bed rest. He didn't think my pain was viable. He didn't think my dysfunction was viable, because I couldn't even move my legs, my right leg specifically. So when I say my legs, my right leg. So I couldn't move my right leg. So therefore I couldn't walk. I couldn't bend. I couldn't sit up, because if anybody knows what the gluteus medius muscle is, it's your rotator cuff for your hip. And so you have a rotator cuff in your shoulder, which makes your arm go around and round, out to the side, up and down, right? Your leg does the same thing. You have a rotator cuff in your leg. It's a hip flexor tendon. It makes your leg go out. It makes it go up. It makes it go in. It does all these things. And it's responsible for rotating your pelvis. So I ripped that tendon. So basically my muscles aren't attached to anything. They're not attached to a bone, which is their main purpose. And so for 7 months, he just basically poo-pooed my pain. So one day I was lying in bed and my legs stopped working, just altogether stopped working. So I went into their emergency room, which I was promptly discriminated by Dr. Andrew Ryland. And he stood over by the door. He did an assessment from the door. He told me that my pain was just an exacerbation of my muscle injury that I had suffered back in August. So we're in January now. And he sent me home. So I went home. I told my daughter absolutely unequivocally, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I went back. That was on a Sunday. I went back on Monday. I went into Kaiser. I went directly to the emergency room nurse manager and told her that I was discriminated against. They asked me if I was on welfare. Like, that don't have nothing to do with why I even came in there. But anyway, they asked me if I was on welfare. They didn't address my pain. They didn't address my new onset neurological symptoms. They didn't address my loss of function in my leg. And so when I came back on Monday, she took note of all this and blah, blah, blah. And I was seen by Dr. Andrew Elms. And I told him what I wanted done. I said, I want an MRI of my right hip. He said he was going to order it in Epic and blah, blah, blah. And he went down and started charting and came back and told me that I was going to go for my MRI of my hip. And as we go into the MRI suite, as they were transporting me, I looked, because I'm a trauma nurse. I was a trauma nurse, level 1 trauma nurse for 10 years. And I look, and I'm used to MRI suites, and I'm used to what's ordered, because like I told you previously, I helped build the Epic system for Sutter Sac Sierra region. And I was the administrator for the electronic health record, the Kronos, which is the payment system, and the Claravia, which is the scheduling system, which I created all of those. And so when I asked him to put it in Epic, I was very clear. And so when they were transporting me over there, I noticed that they had a long back MRI plate. And so I asked the tech, I said, where's the hip plates? Because this is the back plate. And he said, oh no, they ordered it back. No, you take me back over there. So he literally wheeled me over there, and I had a screaming match with this physician out in the middle of the ER. I'm so embarrassed that I had to do that, but it was my life. That's how I felt. And he finally begrudgingly ordered the MRI of my hip to come back to tell me that you have a full thickness tear in your gluteus medius tendon, but that's not what's causing your pain. It's anything. They don't ever want to be wrong. They don't ever want to follow your lead because they always think they know when they really don't know. That's why I'm like, why Black people even think about trying to like think these people know what they're talking about? They don't know what they're talking about ever. So they did that. He told me, you know, follow up with Dr. Iskander in 2 weeks. Nah, forget that. I don't care what you say about nothing. I ain't following up with Dr. Iskander in no 2 weeks. I walked from that ER on crutches. On crutches, mind you. I was walking a little bit previously. So the new onset was that I was on crutches because I could not even bear weight on my leg. And I thought to myself, they have poo-pooed this whole experience that I've had, which led them to where they are right now. Because I would not be suing them if they had not done what they did.
Well, let me ask you a few questions I want to ask real quick, Nurse Angela. When you went in and they said, when they asked you were on welfare, is there any kind of hospital protocol to ask someone in pain if they're on welfare? I'm confused about that.
Oh, no. They ask you if you're on welfare because they assume since you're Black that you're on welfare, which changes the pay system. See, Kaiser monetizes people. That's what they do. So if they feel like they ain't going to get the maximum allowed payable under CMS, they ain't trying to fool with you, really. You understand what I'm saying? And because I came in under state fund insurance because I have primary insurance, which is through Sutter. But for this injury, it goes through Kaiser. So I have never in my life received care from Kaiser because, like I said 15 years ago, killer Kaiser. I don't have time for that. I've never worked for Kaiser. I've never received care from Kaiser. Everyone that I've known. Now, mind you, Kaiser is 68% of their patient population is Black.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 30, there's like some negligible white people thrown in there. Like, make no mistake about that. There's some negligible white people because you can't get rid of them. They're everywhere. And so, but then the rest of their population is Filipinos is the highest, but there's other Asian categories as well. There's the Chinese and Vietnamese and Taiwanese. They're all in there too. In the Asian category, which makes up a large chunk. Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, because Kaiser's deep in Hawaii. And then there's that negligible amount of white people that go to Kaiser. But for the most part, it's Black and brown. And so when they monetize people, they want to make sure because they always give the cheapest bundles. So when these employers look for insurance plans to go with, Kaiser's always the cheapest because Kaiser is the largest healthcare system in the United States.
Okay, so you mentioned this particular hospital for the audience, and you mentioned California. What city that's in?
Kaiser South, Sacramento.
Sacramento. Okay, those of you brothers and sisters that live in Sacramento, you need to be careful with this. I always try to tell people maybe they live in certain areas. So we have a lot of people that listen from California. Yeah. So when you don't have insurance, you about to get treated basically third world standards.
Oh, if they think, yes. If they think, I've not had it put that way, but yes. If they believe you have a substandard care plan, you're going to get the basic bottom shelf care. You're going to get the basic bottom. And they also assume that because you get, you don't have this kind of insurance, that you also don't have this kind of intellectual level. And I want people to clearly understand that this medical racism has nothing to do with your intellectual level. It really doesn't. They try to pretend like that's what it is, but that's not what it is. You take all socioeconomic factors out of it. What's left is that these healthcare providers are racist, and they don't want to remove those socioeconomic barriers that they put upon Black people. They don't want to remove those to get down to what the real situation is. And the real situation is that you guys are racist, and they don't want to see that. They don't want to hear that. Even though the American Medical Association has clearly come out and the Public Health Department has clearly come out to state that racism is a public health threat. But I'm going to tell you, white people will die on a cross like they Jesus before they will admit that they literally are racist.
Well, you have to understand, Nurse Angela, and it hit me, maybe a few weeks ago that, you know, racism, white supremacy is their culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because only a culture is something that you can do. Like the people today is doing the exact same thing the people did 500 years ago. Okay.
Yes,
I mean, they may change the tactics a little bit, but the bottom line is still the same. You understand? So
you can even go back 1,000 years, Philip. You can go back to the Romans.
Well, I'm just talking about at least our interaction, at least in this land, right? You know, okay. So when you understand it's a culture, sure, you may have, and from my experience, it's a minimum amount of them that wake up out of that culture and, you know, see it's wrong and try to do something about it, but it's the minimum. And I mean the minimum. I would say, you know, for me personally, from my experience, I would say 90% at least, you know, are deep into their culture, and maybe the 10% or so is the ones you'll see that's not into their culture. But unfortunately, that small 10% that's in their group that see what their culture is wrong. They're not in positions, you know, of government. They're not in the healthcare system. They're not the judge. They're not the prosecutor. Nope. They're not the police, unfortunately, right?
No. And when they do think they're gonna do something, they're gonna get the backlash. They're gonna get their people group is gonna open up some unnecessariness on them. I mean, to the point where they can even lose their life. It'd be real serious.
Well, let me ask you a question. In the medical profession, have you seen a Mzungu person stand up for Black people, and did you see some backlash come to that person?
Yeah, Sutter. What I originally sent you, that Sutter letter that CNE sent me at my home, that started out with a white dude, Todd, who was my boss, running interference with her. And then when he left, because she was like merciless to him, I mean, she had him crying at one point. And like, I don't cry at work, so I don't understand those type of emotions being released. But I was like, whoa. You know, she was talking craziness about put her boot on my neck. Just some nonsense that wasn't going to happen for her. That wasn't going to happen. And then when I plotted, because you got to plot with these people, when I plotted and did the whoop-de-woo on her, she sent me that ugly letter that I sent you.
Yeah, we'll make sure to people, you know, to know about that letter. That's for sure. That letter was very, very interesting. Now, let me ask you a question. If you got that letter by you?
It's in my computer. Mm-hmm.
If you have access to that letter, could you read it since we on the podcast?
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to give you a context before I read this crazy letter. So I'm working at Sutter. And I was originally when I came to Sutter from after I had divorced, I was coming from the state of Arizona where I worked as a nurse consultant for the Arizona State Board of Nursing. And so I did investigations into nurses who violated the Nurse Practice Act. And believe me, there's a bunch of them that do that. So anyway, I had moved after working there. I had moved back to the state of California because I'm originally from California. And so I moved back to the state of California, but I didn't move back to Southern California because it's a cesspool. So I moved up to Northern California to Sacramento, basically to Davis is where I actually moved. And I had went to work at Sutter as a travel nurse for a 13-week assignment. That's how I originally got there. And I worked in their PACU. And because I was a level 1 trauma nurse and a PACU nurse, that stuff was easy because this was not like level 1. It was like level 3. And so Todd was interested in having a nurse manager because he was a director. And so I was there maybe about, I want to say 3 weeks into my travel assignment. And he asked me if I would take the job as his nurse manager. So I said, sure. I had come from management. I wasn't trying to do no actual, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be honest. I'm not trying to do bed-to-bed nursing at this point in my career. I'm not trying to do that. And so I went to go work as his nurse manager, and that's when it all started. She was like not having it. She didn't understand why he let me control everything. She told him that he needed to put his boot on my neck. Just some crazy nonsense that wasn't going to happen. And so basically she harassed him into quitting. So he quit and went down south, and I took over as director. And I knew when I told Todd when he left that, you know, she gonna come after me because she been waiting forever to get at me because I never reported to her. I always reported to him. So it was never like an issue because I don't care what you say. I don't report to you. So I don't have it. And so when I took over as the director, I told her very clearly, you leave me alone. We won't have no problems. I always like to let my white people know that if you don't bother me, I ain't gonna bother you. But I tell you, if you come after me, then I'm gonna bother you real, real hard. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take up residency in your mind, and I'm going to mess with you for a very long time if you mess with me. So she didn't take that serious. She thought that was a joke. So she brought these two clowns, one white woman from Florida as a consultant to mess with me, and then another white woman from down south in Orange County named Jane and Nancy. She brought these two in to try to mess with me. But see, I'm smarter than all of them. And so I peaked this stuff a long time ago. And because I'm so good at my job, you know, I ran that department like a squeak. When I say I ran that department like no other. It was the most profitable, functioning department you could ever see. So what you gonna do with that? You're gonna have a hard time convincing headquarters down here in Sacramento that I'm some kind of messed up person, because I'm the person that comes to Sacramento and I do all the stuff for Kronos and Claravia, and I'm a trainer and I'm an administrator, and now you suddenly got a problem with me, Angie? Okay, all right. So she tried that. It didn't work out for her. And then I erased a whole bunch of stuff and did a whole bunch of stuff, because anytime I come up with creative information on how to do stuff, it's locked firmly in my mind. I don't trust them. I don't put everything. And if I do, I stamp all kinds of stuff all over it. So you can't just go and do stuff with it, because everything I create is propriety. You are never getting my thoughts. That's just not how this works. And so I did that. I got some stuff shored up. And then I went out on sick leave because they stressed me into sick leave. And then I went and saw a counselor. So I was out for a very long time, getting paid, not messing with them. And then this letter comes to my house. And she came all the way to Sacramento to send this to me. So she says, Angela, there is no color in bitch. And she capitalized that because she wanted to make sure for a fact. So stop being one. You are a cunt to everyone. If you want to be treated like a nigger, keep acting ignorant. Get your ugly ass back to work and stop blaming the world for your problems. And stop acting like a cunt! !
Whoa. So that's classic white supremacist talk. That's how they all talk that way. They all talk that way. Like it's amazing to me. You see what I talk about culture? That is culture right there. Talking to you. She's the head
nurse. She's the chief nurse.
It don't matter what she is. Listen, January the 6th.
That's how it goes.
Listen, January the 6th showed you exactly what America is. You saw people from every profession storming that Capitol.
Yes.
Right. And if that didn't let you know this country is permeated with white supremacists, and I told people a long time ago, Nurse Angela, look, the Klan and neo-Nazis, look, I'm good with them because I can see them coming. The ones you need to worry about, like you said, is that nurse manager you need to worry about, or that doctor, or that radiologist, or whatever ones that, like, you know, you just got to be on guard because you don't know which one is on the team.
Oh, to me, I'm gonna be real. Where I work from, they're all on the team. They're all on the team. I don't trust no one, because I can tell you in this situation, even black, because in this situation right here where this woman came after me for no reason, I'm gonna tell you, no reason whatsoever other than jealousy, and she's dumb, and she thought maybe by bringing Angela down and, you know, bringing her down, because she told me I was an uppity Negro, by the way. And I was like, yes. And I was like, when we got into the EEOC mediation, I was like, this woman, first of all, she came by my house. I said, she gonna get herself hurt. That's what's gonna happen. While y'all sit here and play, and y'all think it's cool for her to be sending this stuff to my house with my daughter, because that's my main concern, is that my daughter was in high school at the time. She was a senior when this crazy lady's doing all this crazy nonsense. And I said, she gonna find herself hurt is what's gonna happen. I said, white supremacists think I be playing. But when they see my face, they understand very clearly, oh no, she's not the one to be messed with. This is, even if I'm driving down the road and they think they're gonna pull some nonsense. Oh, I'll let you know. I'm not afraid of none of them. None of them. And once they know you ain't afraid of none of them, they'll be playing. And now she work in a basement. This is what I'm telling you. This one right here now works in a basement, because when I told her I was going to come after her, I was going to come after her license is what I meant. She thought it meant like, I'm going to physically assault you. No. I was a nurse consultant for the Arizona State Board of Nursing in 23 compact states. No, I'm coming after your license because what you're doing is unbecoming of a nurse. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. And so that's how, and because I'm a nurse consultant also for the State Board of Nursing for the state of California, I was not playing with her. I dabble in the world of regulation. I don't dabble in the physical world because they're silly and I don't have time for that. So I just take away your livelihood. So she works in a basement now. She can't work with people.
So you shared that letter with the EOC in the state?
Oh, yes.
And how long after you made you shared it and for her to lose her license, how long did it take?
We went from, this whole mess started in June of 2016. No, June of 2015. And I went a whole year. First of all, I went off on medical leave. And then she tried to entice, this crazy letter she thought was enticing me to come back. And then I went back because my attorney at the time told me that I needed to basically get more information, basically let them shame me, which is what they did. So I showed up at Sutter in Vallejo, coming off my medical leave. And basically Angie showed out. She showed out and showed down, her and Nancy and Jane. And Jane tried to have me arrested. It was crazy. And they had me escorted out in front of my employees. They wouldn't let me get my purse. It just got real, some lunacy. So I got my purse, got my belongings, went and sat in my car, contacted my attorney. He said it was great. Now we're going to take him to court. And they decided to mediate it. And so we went to the EEOC. So that was probably a year from the time that they humiliated me, cut off my pay, but then had to reinstate me. Just all kinds of stuff they was doing.
Okay. So let me ask you another question. In that industry, you see a lot of nurses coming in, and I know, statistically, the majority of them, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately due to the racism aspect, are Mzungu. What'd you say?
85% of the nursing workforce, and it's and by the way, it's the largest workforce in the United States, and 85% of it is white.
Okay, 85%. Okay, man, that's overwhelmingly. Now, let me ask you a question about that. But do you think some of that's going to change as you seeing demographics change in this country, though?
White women love their nursing. I don't know. They be holding those nursing programs with a fist. So, you got to actually go through these white nursing programs in order, because no black person has a nursing program. I got my daughter's child into the Howard nursing program, and then that program was so chaotic that she transferred over to Georgetown. So I'm like, I need black people to get their stuff together. You got all these historically black colleges that has nursing programs like Tuskegee, who was ran by a white woman. Like, why on earth would you have it just upsets me. But anyway, we don't really have nursing programs. And that is one of my goals when I get to Africa, is to have actually a black nursing program where black nurses can be booted out and know what they're doing and what they're saying and take care of our people appropriately. So in order to be a nurse, you got to go through these white programs. And these white women who run these programs, who's professors of these programs, who always be trying to tell you stuff they don't know what they're talking about. But they run these programs with a fist. I went to the University of Washington. There was 2 of us. 2. And before that, there was none.
So let me ask you a question about those nursing programs. Okay, you go through, you get your degree, and then what, you try to apply to get into nursing school. Is that correct?
You have to take the NCLEX.
Okay, you take the NCLEX. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you take the NCLEX. And is that, I think, was it Washington, or is Washington or California? Is that those states that you could use your license in multiple states?
Washington is a compact. California is not.
Okay. I know Texas is compact.
Yes, Texas is compact. Yes,
yeah.
Arizona's compact. Okay. Ohio's not compact. Illinois is not compact. They fall under an umbrella, public health program, public health umbrella. So they're like listed with a whole bunch of other things, like in a like healthcare type thing in Illinois. It's crazy.
But something you brought up earlier that kind of bothers me, and it's been going on, and you mentioned earlier it would happen with you, the pain aspect. Oh, they don't believe black people is in pain. Where do that come from, and how do they measure somebody else's pain? Because pain to me is kind of like someone that look at beauty, like it's subjective to that person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And everything that you're taught in any school you go to, no matter if you're in an allied health science, you're always taught that pain is what the patient tells you the pain is. It's not for your interpretation to say, well, maybe she has pain. But I noticed that white doctors like to dabble in that. They like to dabble in the objective. Like, she don't look like she in pain to me. But is it really your call? Is it really your call to say who looks like they may be in pain? Or is it the patient when they tell you, like when I told Dr. Iskander that this is the worst pain I've ever had in my life. And I said, not aside, I've had 2 children with no anesthesia. And I said, and this is the worst pain, because this was an all-encompassing body pain. Because once that knocked out, I mean, this muscle group didn't talk to this muscle group and this muscle group and this muscle group. So it took out my whole right side, which is my dominant side. And I can't sit up and I can't lay down and I can't turn over and I can't do anything. Can't twist my side. And I'm like, so how is it that y'all suddenly say that I'm not in pain? And that it's not as, apparent as, and this is notwithstanding, because I also had a pelvic drop, which is a physical symptom from not having the, tendon attached to the bone. And so I'm walking crooked and I still remain crooked because I've lost so much muscle tissue. And that gives me atrophic muscle pain. Is horrible. I have restless leg syndrome now. It's just, they've messed me up. But you know what? It ain't going to be the end all be all, because I'm one of the most determined people these people will ever meet.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about this. Okay, so since with all your experience, we talking about the safety of Black people going and dealing with healthcare and what we can do, as a community. So, do you believe for the safety of Black people, should we make sure to get a Black doctor?
Yes.
Could you explain why?
I'm going to tell you, so if you ever look into like health news or public health news or anything like that, that we have an epidemic of Black women dying in childbirth. Baby die, mama die, everybody dies. These are normally healthy Black women who have the unfortunate, I tell you, to come in contact with the white healthcare system that don't care about them. And you can't give caring, you can't make people care. I've been in nursing for a long time, and we have several theories. I don't understand why white people come up with theories on how to care. It's sad that you have to have a theory on how to take care of people, on how to care to be a caring and compassionate person. But that's what they do. They take these classes. In my master's program, there was several theology things, which, if we really know about nursing, they try to say Florence Nightingale is the initiator of nursing, but that's not real. Mary Seaborn would be the initiator. She was a Jamaican nurse that went over to England during the Crimean War and was talking about how the environment, this war environment with the nastiness around and having the windows closed up and being in these enclosed areas and confined with all these different sick people, is making these people sicker. That was her philosophy. And then Florence Nightingale, being white, decided to catapult that. And then now we got Florence Nightingale, who's the mother of nursing. That's not real.
That makes sense, because we start things and then they steal it like normal. And because their culture is definitely stealing, and then they steal it, and because they have more money because of slavery, and then they capitalize on it. Yeah, that's interesting.
And the next thing you know, you got Florence Nightingale schools of nursing all over. Just like here in America, you have when I went to the University of Washington, because I transferred from Arizona State University. I got into 3 nursing programs. I got into San Diego State nursing program. I got into Arizona State nursing program. And then I decided I didn't like none of those programs. And I wanted to go to University of Washington's program because it was the #1 nursing program in the state at the time. And so I told my ex-husband at the time, because he was Navy, a retired Navy. And so I told him that I'm going to need you to get stationed up in Bremerton, because I'm going to need to go to the University of Washington. I had already planned it. And so he did it. And then I knew that sending in those orders and all this other stuff, that I would get into the program. I would not have to pay out-of-state tuition, and that I would get scholarships of some sort. I knew these things, right? And so I did all of that. We got stationed in Bremerton. I got a Mary Gates scholarship, which is Bill Gates' mother. I got a Mary Eliza Mahoney scholarship, which was the first Black nurse, professional nurse in the United States. Now, the funny thing about Mary Eliza Mahoney, she's my hero, first of all. I'm just going to say that, because I modeled everything after her on how I deal with people. She was the first public health nurse, but she started the Colored Nurses Association. And how devilish they are, because now we have the American Nurses Association. They were so devilish over in New York that they took her idea on how to incorporate nursing and get it where it has central function, and took her Colored Nurses Association and renamed it the American Nurses Association. And that's what we have to this day. So I tell you, when I tell you they lie, they corrupt, they're cesspool, I mean those things. I sincerely mean those things.
When we look at history, I mean, we know that. It just even recently, even the young kids have caught on, and like, I don't know, you may have heard about this, you may not be into this, but that platform TikTok, these black kids will come up with a lot of dances, right? And then what was happening to that? They was coming with all these great dances. These white kids will steal it, and then they end up getting on Jimmy Kimmel. They end up getting brand deals, making millions of dollars, stealing from the black young kids. So what the black young kids end up doing was say, you know what? Since y'all stealing our stuff and we're not getting recognized for it, and y'all making millions, we're going to go on strike. And so they just stopped doing TikTok dances. And it was so funny that when they were left to do their own dances, it was so funny to even watch. It was like a freaking train wreck. In other words, these people cannot do nothing on their own merit without stealing from somebody.
Can I just say, and I want to just say this so that everyone is clear on how you can pick these people out. And I don't care if they white, they practice in white supremacy and they in black skin. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, they can be Indian and Asian and all that.
Right.
Too.
That's right. You can be Indian, you can be Asian. If you are actively running around with the mark of the beast, white supremacy, running around doing white supremacy stuff, running and talking crazy, Asians, because I live in an Asian neighborhood here in Sacramento. But anyway, and I don't mind putting them on notice. You talk to me crazy. I have a Chinese neighbor on both sides. Talk to me crazy if you want to. Go ahead. That's what I told my neighbor Mark. Talk to me crazy if you want to. You'll find your whole house in a problem. But anyway, the one thing we need to understand clearly is that white people are not creators. That's not what they do. They destroy. So if you know you create, you know you're not like them because they destroy. If you know that you can, so when they came off all TikTok, when TikTok, the black folks come off of TikTok and white people are left at their own because they never create anything, this is how apparent you see it. Because now you don't have black people to sponge off of and take their ideas and make them into your own. Not real. When you're not a creator of stuff, you get lost. So they're lost now. TikTok can stay lost. I don't know much about TikTok, but I'm not down with people stealing other people's stuff. AKA, I'm not down with white people stealing black people's stuff.
Yeah, and if you know, black folks, you know, I remember some years ago that the Mexicans actually did this. I remember they said a day without Mexicans, and like all of them called off for work. None of them will go to work that day. And they like showed out doing that. And I say, I wish black folks would actually do that for a change. Like we all get on code and say, you know, a week or something, 2 weeks without black folks. And like, don't spend no money, don't do nothing in that time period. We would literally mess up the economy by doing that. And black folks don't even realize the power that we have in this country. We don't realize it. These people lie to us all the time. Like we so downtrodden and all that. Like, man, we hold economy and everything by the balls because we the biggest consumer.
Exactly. And we're the biggest consumers worldwide. If you want to be honest about what really is the situation with black people love to consume other people's shit. Like, why? Like, why are you running around consuming and putting labels on your body of your oppressor? That sends me over the edge. I don't want to see another entertainment star because I'm done with this. Seeing Gucci, Gucci, Gucci everywhere. You are putting these oppressors labels. What we see and what our creator sees is that you don't have a problem being oppressed because you are so keen to put the oppressor on your body. You are so keen to dabble in what the oppressor has to give you. They gone. They gone. I just hold on to hope to the ones that like you and I and some of all the other people that I see on. I'm very specific on the platforms that I pay attention to. And so the people I pay attention to, there's hope for us. There's hope for us because we see what's coming down the pipeline. But the people who are blind is like blind.
Yeah, and this is the thing about that. I'm a firm believer of, and which is sad, is that, you know, we need to monetize anything that we are a part of and anything that we consume, no matter what. Because one thing, like at least at me on the media side, and I'll get back to ask you a question about the healthcare, is that, you know, I believe we need to corner news, we need to corner entertainment, we need to corner sports, weather, we need to corner everything, because if we don't corner it, guess who's going to be taking it, using our culture and our creations to do everything is going to be others, and now people starting to really see that and understand, the all of that. Now, you mentioned earlier you had created in healthcare different procedures and things like that, and you were smart enough to say no, I'm gonna delete it. I'm not gonna give it to you, because what they'll end up doing is like that lady that you talked about. If you'd have left it and she's like, "Ooh, this is actually a good idea," she would have put her name on it and she would have presented it to them folks, and now she probably would have got some recognition, and now they would call the procedure her procedure. Like, what the hell? That's mine. You understand?
I'm gonna tell you. Yeah. Oh, I understand clearly. And so, like, here's the cold part of what I actually did. They can't do nothing now. We have laws protecting me now, and I'll use them. I'm not afraid to use the laws that they be coming up with to protect themselves. They might as well protect me too. So, what I did was I put them on a flash drive. Right. This was like over months, Phillip. I had been plotting my leave. I left a little bit of cash on my desk. I left some things where it looked like I wasn't going nowhere. And I had been slowly expunging my information out of my computer. And then the cold part, I took the whole computer. So even if they had, IT go in and do a forensic search, because I had to do a forensic search on her because I knew that she sent me that letter. And I'll tell you about that in a second. But if they were ever to do a forensic search, they would have to have a time frame. And so I made sure, you ain't gonna have no time frame, because I'm gonna do it sporadically. It's gonna be in the morning, it's gonna be at the evening, it's gonna be here, it's gonna be there. And I put all my stuff on a drive and took it with me, and then took my laptop, my actual company laptop. So I said, if y'all gonna discriminate against me, sue me for this stuff. Sue it and you can get it back. They never got it back, and I destroyed it. But that's not the point. The point is that they think they're so smart. But see, when you're going to discriminate against me, and I already know you're going to do that because I smell you from the door because you're so scared, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And she even turned my charge nurse against me, who's Black, by the way. And, oh yeah, she wrote some crazy letter that popped up in the EOC. And I said, that's lies. That's all lies. And I don't care how this blackface white supremacist managed to get, this letter into Angie's little pudgy hands. But what I'm saying is that she's a lie. And now I have to be on the lookout for the blackies who are body snatchers. And I got to be on the lookout for white people. I said, this ain't about some shit. I'm about done with this America.
Well, let's get into the some of the blacks. Okay. So you have some black folks that want to, shuck and jive for them folks. What kind of problems do they cause in the industry?
I have a firm like rule. If white people like you, I immediately don't trust you. And so, I'm telling you, if white people sing your praises, I'm done. I don't trust you. I feed you with a long-handled spoon. And I knew this about Anita. But the thing is, I have to work with her because she's my only charge nurse for PACU, pre-op, phase 1 and 2. And so I have to interact with her. So I just made sure when she be asking me questions, I don't answer her questions. Like she be asking me, what do you think about Angie? I don't think about Angie. What are you talking about? What do I think about Angie? I don't think about her. So I have to give those responses, but they always trying to get information. They think they slick. They think because we're black, we're both black. We're black, right? Oh, we can say and do whatever. Girl, yeah. No, I see you. And I'm going to tell you, I see you when you be sneaking off to Angie's office. People be telling me you was down in Angie's office for 30 minutes, even though you told me you was going to lunch. So I said, you know what? You go on down there. You set up in white woman's office because she hates you too, by the way. And I told Anita this. She hates you too. So don't think that by any stretch of the imagination, the reason that she's glomming onto you is to get to me. I even had to tell Kanika when at California state government, the reason they messing with you is because they know they better not come after me. I promise you. They come after me because I had my attorney call California state and let them know under no circumstances, if you even think about it, you're going to get sued. They stopped real quick with that one.
Yeah, anytime on the job, anybody tell you, what do you think about this one? Do you think about that one? I've had experience with that before myself. And it's always a setup. Don't even answer those questions. And like you said, I don't be thinking about nobody, man. I'm trying to get, I walk off. Like, I won't even entertain you because when I know you messy like that and trying to like siphon information, but usually when you have a certain look about you, people don't really mess with you too much. And I've learned to have a certain look. Like for instance, I remember, you know, the times that what they would like to do, the Mzungus, a lot of times they try to like think that you walk in a room with them, and then they'll start staring at you.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking they can intimidate you. So the key is you gotta intimidate them back, right?
That's right.
So I don't know if women could do it as well as men, but I remember one time I had them do that to me, and I was just looking. So what I end up doing is just start having a mean mug face and start staring them in the eye. One thing they don't like you to do, it's just intently stare in the eye, and I do it until they look away. That's how I do it.
Oh,
and
I do.
You stare at all of them real intently until they look away at you, and then they'll say something. Oh, hey, like, yeah, what's going on? Like, in other words, like, you're not gonna punk me because I know what y'all doing. Because some black folks, you know, folks will stare at them, and then you want to look away. No, never look away from them. You stare at them till they look away.
That's right. You stare them down. And I'll tell you a funny story. Women can do it too. At least I know I have the capability.
Well, some women can. Some women can. But
I don't know that all. And I'm going to tell you, it's not all. Mm-hmm. I have this ability because I've been dealing with this for so long. And I'm going to be real. I come from a trauma background. I'm independent like no other. And in a trauma, you have to be independent. And so I don't have time for all this nonsense that they like to give. But I will tell you, Kanika didn't have the gift to do it. She let them people drive her crazy. And she had to move out of the whole state of California. I said, there'll be not a place, not a one, not a ever that you're going to tell me I have to do something for you. So they was Mickey Mousing around at at California State Government where I worked. And they was going through Kanika. Well, this one blackface white supremacist named Rita sent me a email because she wasn't happy with something I said. Because see, like, there's some things I just don't do. Like, I don't dabble with people who I feel intellectually are beneath me, and I don't have time for that because you don't offer anything to me, so I don't have time for that. And so she wasn't happy with that I was like, I don't be dealing with you like that. That's not how I deal with you. And I also had information that she was sleeping with one of these white men, and I just don't have time for that, Philip. You just don't understand. I don't have time for that kind of stuff in a workplace. I just don't. And so she sent me an email. I sent her back a terse remark. Don't send me no email if you don't want the truth. And she wasn't happy with that. So she sent it to Jason and Vince and all these other white men who decided they was going to send me an email talking about we need to meet regarding an email. I don't know. I ain't sent none of y'all no email. I don't know what you're talking about. And they said, oh, we know. Okay. So I got myself together. I got me a pad and a pen because I write everything. They don't like that. They don't like when you come in ready to document who's present, who's going to do, who said what, who did what, right? So I walk into the meeting, and the way they set this meeting up is that when you walk into the conference room, all of them was on one side of the table. And I was like, oh, you ain't going to power move me like that. So I sat smack dab in the middle of them. The fake boss that I was supposedly reported to, she was over in the corner because she knew from the get-go, if you say anything during this meeting, when I get you back to your office, we're going to have a stern talking to. And she knew that Judy knows she ain't ready for that. Trust me, we have a history. She ain't ready for that. And we had a history. And so I walk in there, I sit down in the middle. They get all nervous, like, well, are you going to not sit? No, I'm not sitting over there. You don't choose where I sit. I'm a grown woman. You ain't going to choose where I sit. So I sit down. What you got the pad for? Oh, I like to make sure I keep good notes when people call me to meetings just surreptitiously and I don't know what's happening. So I like to make sure I keep good track of it. And so that immediately puts them on arm. And then they proceed and they say, okay, we'll start and whatever. And they proceed to tell me that I sent some email to Rita. And I look at Rita and I said, oh, is this how it's going to go down? So I just simply told them straightforward that anything I have to say to Rita, I'll say it directly to Rita. It don't have nothing to do with you, or you. And I told them if they're going to keep doing this, they're going to get a stern reminder from my attorney because I'm not going to keep doing this. I am a consultant. I don't work for none of y'all. And I'm going to need y'all to stay out of my business, basically. And so, yeah, that's how that
them folks, them folks, like I said, we can be on here 10 hours talking about them folks.
Oh, yeah. Because they're just not good people.
It's just so before we wrap up here, could you give us on top of getting a black doctor is basically will save your life? What are the tips that black folks can do, or even say in those situations to make sure we either treat it right or to avoid the white supremacists in healthcare for people that definitely say, well, what do we do?
I'm going to tell Black people what you need to do in your life, no matter what it is when it comes to white people. Assertive. Be assertive. You are responsible for your personal being. Don't give that over to anybody. So one is that you be assertive for your health care. For anything that you do in your life, be assertive. Take ownership of it so that you are completely accountable to your life. You don't turn your life over to somebody else. I just told my son this. You know, my son is dealing with Las Vegas Metro Police Department, who had to change their policy. So now they decided, since my son took them to the EOC to make them change their policy because they have the Crown Act, now they're going to harass him. So they were taking pictures and sending them up the chain to all this stuff. And I said, oh, okay. So it's things like that. Document, I told him, never let nobody tell you what the laws are and what the rules are. You better know those laws and those rules. So when they come talking to you crazy, you can say, that ain't real. And he made sure he did that. So you make sure you know the laws and the rules that govern everything that you are going to do. Take accountability for yourself. Don't let somebody else take accountability for you. And then third, the most important, question everything these people say to you. Don't believe nothing they say. Question, question, question. Document, document, document. Even if you have to show up to appointments with a pen and a pad, that scares them. And when you ask questions because you're concerned about your well-being, that scares them. Don't let them push stuff on you. We too far gone for this to be an issue.
Why does the pen and pad scare them?
Because they don't like documentation. Don't you notice they do everything so you don't know? Like they meet offline, out of work, all together. Like the one thing that I noticed at CDCR that they like to do, the correctional officers, when they was going to do dirt, and it would get to me, and most people wouldn't think that it was a big deal. They were like, oh, yeah, we were at the gun range this morning for 3 hours shooting. Are you requalifying for your gun? I don't understand why you guys were there for 3. Oh, we were talking. See, when you talking offline and away from work, I know you're plotting and you're being a devil. So, no, they do this. They plot behind our backs. So you don't know what's happening. That's why I was like, why would anybody not want to out racists? I want to out racists so I can see them coming. Why would you want people who plot behind the scenes, who send emails to each other? You know, my son wouldn't have known about the email that they sent up the chain to all these 12 different people if it hadn't been for some astute white boy who believes they're being racist toward my son. And he's the one that outed and sent the email to my son. But that's the kind of stuff that you don't know because they keep it to themselves.
Oh, yeah. White supremacy works best in darkness and shadows, right? That's why they don't really like today where everybody is exposing them and calling them out. They don't like that. Right. I mean, they really losing their mind, you know, with that today. Because
well, imagine you come in fully loaded with a pen and a pad, ready to discuss some real issues and take complete charge of everything. You know, they're going to lose their minds. They're going to lose their minds. That's been my experience for 31 years, is that when you come fully loaded, not playing, because I don't play with white people. I play with everybody else, mainly my family and stuff like that. But the one thing I don't play with is white supremacy, because you let your guard down 1 second, 1 minute, these people just have a way of sneaking in. They get in. It's like silly putty. They oozy. They get in everywhere. And you just can't let your guard down 1 second, 1 moment. It's a horrible way to live here in the United States like that, but that's how we live. Because if you let your guard down, best believe something gonna happen. Best believe something gonna happen.
Yeah, it's kind of like in this country, you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's about, you know, that's really what it is.
It is.
Here in America now. Me, like I say, when I'm on the continent, I'm definitely more relaxed. Oh my God, my stress level is not there. That's why I can't wait to 2022. Mm-hmm. That's just what we decided. 2022, we start getting our travels back to the continent and everything, and I can't wait. You know, let this COVID thing kind of pass on through and what it needs to do, at least from the healthcare professionals that we talk to that are Black, by the way.
Right.
Mzungus about health here. I'm sorry, we just don't do that. You know, like I was telling people, you know, like they got, like here in Houston, at least they got this website called Black Book Houston, and you can find anything you need from Black people, whether it's a nurses, doctors, lawyers, therapists, restaurants. Like you can find whatever you need, and I love it. I love it. I love it.
You know, I used to go, like when I was director of surgical services and perioperative services, we used to have our meetings in Texas. And Houston got so many black people, it's just unreal. Like, I mean, in professional black people. I mean, I'm sure it has other black people, but that's not my world, so I don't know about that. But like professionals, doctors and stuff, I'm like, oh, y'all got it. Dentists, y'all got everything up in here. It's great. It's great.
Yes, no excuse.
Like that there's no excuse. So when you live in cities that are just a plethora of black people, you have no reason to be unhealthy. Absolutely unequivocally, because you have all your resources. It's these unfortunates that live in all these other places. Like, I've never had a white doctor, with the exception of Dr. Iskander, and that was given to me because I was hurt and it was a contract. But other than that, if it's me going to initiate, oh no. I will never. These people don't know nothing about no black body. You ain't touching me. I need someone black to do that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you learn nothing else from this today, white supremacy permeates the healthcare industry. I mean, like it permeate the airline industry like last time. And so make sure that you know, like you said, document, keep your eye on these people, be assertive, as the sister said, get you a black doctor. I mean, you need to make sure that's put on your list, because as you hear and hear that the majority of them, you know, have white supremacist ideals. Okay. And it comes out, you know, denying you medicine for pain is a white supremacist trope to say black people don't feel pain. That goes all the way back to slavery. When you used to operate on black women with no anesthesia, no nothing.
Without any anesthetic. And it was basically just like, looky, see what's going to happen to them. Like, I mean, documenting our response to pain. So they know that we have pain because they've documented through all their little slave trials. They know that we have extra nerve endings. Like, I love the fact that they say black people don't feel pain when we are the most sensitive people, because we have so much. Melanin is sensitive. Melanin is the same stuff that's found in outer space in black holes. Melanin is the same stuff that's made from this earth. So if anybody thinks that we ain't special, you better think again, because everything that's in a black body is of this earth. Is of this earth. The iron, the nitrogen, it's all in us, in our melanin. So y'all, the reason they experimenting is because they want to be us. They really want some get out. That's for real. They really do.
And it's something that would never happen. The earth is heating up, and we are children of the sun. And I love it. I hope the earth keep heating up. I have no problem with it.
You know, Portland and Seattle, they hating they live right now up in Oregon and Washington and Canada.
Oh, yeah, they are right now. Yeah, they get cooked out there. They get
like
cooked.
119. That's right, 119. I lived in Phoenix, so I've seen it hot. 126. I'm just saying, I didn't burn up. I didn't burn up. It was 126. But I know they little selves are hot. Oh, I know they hot and red.
They say, oh, well. So, Nurse Angela, we thank you for joining us today on the podcast. And we appreciate you coming through and giving us all this knowledge to help protect black people and people that's even thinking about getting into the healthcare industry, what they can do to protect themselves as well.
Yes, and thank you. People, stay strong. This is a war for real.